Good afternoon, everyone. This is an update on the tropics for September 21st, 2022. We have now Invest 98L entering the Lesser Antilles. We also do have Hurricane Fiona currently just north of the Turks and Caicos. We also have two additional disturbances in the Atlantic we also need to monitor. Not to mention, we do have Tropical Storm Gaston that did form in the very northern portion of the Atlantic yesterday afternoon, right after I posted my tropical update. But anyways, let's get right into it here. Here's the satellite imagery as we're looking at right now, and there is Hurricane Fiona right now. That is now a Category 4 hurricane, and this is going to be headed towards Bermuda, which we have to watch closely on the path because an eastward slight change to the path could definitely lead to some major impacts to Bermuda there with that Category 4 hurricane status. We do have Invest 98 down here, which does not look very organized as of right now. We do have some thunderstorm activity, but not much circulation, mid-levels, however. As of right now, we do have a disturbance right here in the middle of the main development region. We are going to have to watch that as it heads to the west, and that could potentially lead also towards the Lesser Antilles. We also have a tropical wave coming off of Africa that is not expected to be headed westward, but instead heading northward due to a high pressure way up north here that will be leading it kind of to the north. There's Tropical Storm Gaston. As you can see, really not super organized, but you can definitely see the circulation in it from yesterday. But again, not much convection with it right now, but definitely was looking like a tropical storm yesterday with a lot of the convection right near the mid-levels of the circulation. Here's Hurricane Fiona's forecast cone. This will be making a very close approach to Bermuda around 8 a.m. Friday, which we have tropical storm warnings out right now for Bermuda, as well as a hurricane watch, which means we could potentially see those hurricane impacts to Bermuda again around overnight Thursday into Friday. That's when it will be hitting Bermuda. So make sure you do prepare for that. If you haven't already, if you're watching in Bermuda, you do have some possible hurricane impacts incoming around Friday. Now, here's the main discussion for today's video: Invest 98L, and this is definitely a system to watch very closely and definitely to prepare for, as we know once we know where this is gonna go. As of right now, we don't know where this is gonna go. We know that it is gonna be staying in the Caribbean as of right now, and it could head into the Gulf, but we don't know if anywhere would be impacted. So this is the latest GFS run, waiting for it to load. Here we're looking at the European model for Invest 98L and also Tropical Storm Gaston, Hurricane Fiona in the Atlantic. Let's go ahead and move forward here. As you can see, there's Invest 98L, which continues a westward movement, and it makes its way to the south of the Dominican Republic around 6 p.m. of Friday. Again, as you can see, Hurricane Fiona comes very close to Bermuda, but I think Bermuda may have a lucked out. But I think Bermuda might be lucky and not get the main center of Hurricane Fiona. But again, paths can change very quickly and ever so slightly. Any path that goes eastward, Bermuda can see a bigger and bigger impact. So we're gonna have to continue to watch that closely. But back to Invest 98L, as you can see, this heads westward and really doesn't make much of an appearance until we get to around September 26th. As you can see, that circulation really starts getting going. It goes over Cuba there around September 27th. And by then, we could possibly see a hurricane as it goes over western Cuba, which definitely can weaken it. But according to the European model, this gets really strong. As you can see, it kind of goes over portions of Florida, the southern portion of Florida. So that's affecting Miami, Fort Myers, and even a little bit of Tampa Bay there. That also goes through Daytona Beach area, also just goes south of Jacksonville, Florida. I mean, it affects definitely a lot of the majority of southern Florida, and it even curves back up there even into portions of the mid-Atlantic. Or as you can see, it's a very still strong storm there as we go into October 1st. So again, possible hurricane in the Gulf. It's also going to make a much more western track in the Gulf, or it could even go even more eastward. We don't really know right now because it is quite far out. As you can see, some of these models put this heading into the Gulf around September 28th. That is a week out, so a little far out. We're just going to have to watch it where it goes as of this point, and what the National Hurricane Center forecasts it, where it's going to go, all according to these models. Now, as you can see, the CMC model does put it into the Gulf. These models aren't really loading that fast here. We don't have really every single hour here. So as you can see, it actually does put it in the Gulf as a hurricane, even goes right into Louisiana and portions of Mississippi, Alabama. And that's the CMC model path. So again, these models don't really know exactly where it's going to go as of right now. So no panic for the Gulf. Just stay prepared. Make sure you have a hurricane kit prepared so you can get going in case this does head your way, because this really could impact any state in the Gulf as of right now. It could head even into Mexico and weaken there. Again, there's so many possibilities that this could do that it is really not necessary to cause any panic here for any states in the Gulf. Again, this probably will be affecting portions of the Caribbean, like Cuba and even the Yucatan Peninsula may see some impacts, but again, the Gulf states of the United States, this could even go even more north and not even impact the Gulf. So again, a week out, things are going to change according to these models. And looking at the icon model, which doesn't go that far out, but around 180 hours out from now, which is about a week out, as you can see, around September 28th, this does make an appearance here as a possible hurricane just off the northeastern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula as a hurricane there. So that's also heading to the Gulf. All these models have it heading into the Gulf, but we don't know if it's going to be in the Western Gulf, the Central Gulf, or the Eastern Gulf impacting Florida. We don't know yet. So you have an idea. The National Hurricane Center has an idea of where it's going to go here from now. We just, again, don't know which way it's going to choose to really impact anywhere in the Gulf of Mexico. So stay tuned for more updates. We are going to keep you updated constantly with this, and we are going to be looking at a few more things here. Like, this is the Invest 98L model intensity guidance. As you can see, this makes it to a tropical storm. It has a 90% chance of a cyclone formation in 5 days. We actually did forget to look at the National Hurricane Center, which again, there it is, Invest 98L, which has a 90% chance. This Hurricane Fiona, there's Tropical Storm Gaston, and there's those other two disturbances in the eastern portion of the main development region. Now, disturbance 2 coming off of Africa, that actually now has a 50% chance of a cyclone formation in 5 days. Now, that won't be nearing the western portion of the Atlantic, but that does actually have a higher chance of development. Again, Invest 98L, which is expected to develop according to the National Hurricane Center, clearly is confident that this will be developing into a tropical storm here within the next 5 days. Now let's go to look at the spaghetti models. All right, so as you can see, here's the global hurricane models, the model track guidance, pretty much known as spaghetti models. And as you can see, we have a general idea of where it's going to go. It's going to be headed throughout the middle of the Caribbean, and it's going to be headed into the Gulf. However, we still have possibilities that this is going to be headed even more west, possibly into the Yucatan Peninsula, weakening from there. But again, this could very well here. We have lots of models that do lead it this way, or even up here into Cuba, impacting Florida. We have 2 ways according to the global hurricane models, but this also could be entering the central Gulf of Mexico, impacting really anywhere where it wants to. The GFS model is trending more northward, which would be impacting Florida if this does actually verify, and that will actually head straight towards the Florida Panhandle. Again, things are going to change, and we don't know the exact path yet, but these are just single model runs. Now, the GEPS model has a very similar run to the GFS model. As you can see, heads through Cuba and weakens a little bit, then heads to Florida, which is quite realistic. And now it might not have a bunch of time to develop into a hurricane in the Caribbean, and that's going to be headed over the mountains of Cuba, which will weaken it if it heads with that exact track. So definitely have to keep watching this, monitor it very closely, and make sure you are prepared, not scared, in case Invest 98L does come your way in the Caribbean or the United States. Make sure to share this with friends and family that lives in the Caribbean, Central America, the Yucatan Peninsula. If anyone does live here in Florida, make sure to share this video with them if they want this information here. We will keep you updated with daily tropical updates every day in the early afternoon. Make sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications so you won't miss a single update or live stream, and also like the video and stuff like that. Leave a comment if you want. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.